Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Golf Love UK, and I am with my partner in crime, Pro Golf Critic. How are you, Jay? You well?
Yeah, things are going great. Just I finished a great PGA championship. I have my criticisms of it like I usually do, but all in all, it was a really exciting Sunday. Really enjoyed it. It's a lot on the a lot on the agenda, so yeah, we might as well get to it.
Yeah, and I think I want to address an elephant in the room first. I do the good and the bad about Rory on this one. A lot of people saying Rory's a cheater. Now, I'm going to say now, here and now, I don't think he is. Um, do, do I think he's a lot of people don't understand what makes a hot driver. They don't. And I think there's been a lot of crap out there trying to
Oh, for
throw
sure.
Rory, trying to throw Rory under the bus. And
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that don't like Rory. Let's
yeah.
just call it what it is. Yeah.
And there's also a lot of people that don't understand it. So a driver can go hot in 4 to 6 strikes. So is there an outside chance his driver was non-conforming when he won the Masters?
Probably was.
But equally, it could probably be, but equally, it could be highly unlikely.
Mm.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
I mean,
And do you know what? I don't for a second believe he played knowing it was non-conforming.
no,
So
no.
I don't think for a second that Rory's been complicit in any cheating at all. And I think we'll come on to in a minute what's wrong with, and you and I think they should test more regularly, and they should test everyone. It takes not very long to test for certainly for big events. They should test the start of every big event.
Yes.
And I think that well, Scottie's driver was non-conforming. He put a new one in the bag, and it's just one of those things. I think that for those people that don't understand how quickly a driver can go from conforming to non-conforming, it can be. And I talked to adopted two different manufacturers in the last 24 hours and asked their opinion, and they said you can literally go from conforming and absolutely fine to non-conforming in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strikes. Like
Yeah.
it is that thin, and the tolerance is that slim that your driver could be absolutely perfect, and then all of a sudden it's got hot. So I'm going to say now, here and now, I don't think his driver was non-conforming for the Masters. I think it probably was fine. And even if it wasn't, I don't believe for a second he knew. The issue for me, Jay, lies with the authorities, the way they test and the way they communicate. We'll come on in a second once you've had your chance to say on. Actually, Rory not talking about it is only going to lead to
Makes it worse.
speculation and is just ridiculous. But I am going to defend him and say I don't think it was non-conforming for the Masters. And even if it was, I don't for a second believe he knew it.
I think it probably was non-conforming for the Masters, but the thing is, these lines are so razor thin. We're not talking about this is giving them an extra 20 yards off the tee. Like it's not. We're not
No.
even talking. It's probably less than a yard difference. One, and two, like this is really. It's not an indictment on the player. It's really
No.
an indictment on the equipment companies, and it's an indictment on the rules and the enforcement of those rules. Because and there is one
I don't think
company
it's not
there's
it's
one
not the
company that's worse than the
yes,
others when
true,
it comes to this
true.
stuff.
That is very
So,
true. Yeah, TaylorMade have been worse than others, but equally, it's equally if you're going to set a set of rules up and choose to only test a quarter to a third of the field at every few events, then things are going to get through the net. And you should here's a question: should they test on the Wednesday, everyone's drive before major? There's a question.
yes,
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
perfect, easy,
If it's important,
and we
if it's
solve all
important
this.
to them,
And yeah,
because I don't know how
there you go.
important it actually is to them. And that's where we get into this like really gray area. Like one, they didn't want to turn this into a big issue. The problem is in pro golf, we turn all rules into this complete we turn rules into something bigger than they actually are because they're not that important when it comes to the grand scheme of things. Which is part of the reason why I've been preaching this for as long as I've been a golfer. There needs to be more common sense rules in this whole thing. Like, yes, if a driver is like close to the edge, there needs to be some sort of margin of error that says, okay, the original COR CT testing was like within the limit. If it goes like a small percentage above that, it's fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal because it doesn't give you that big of an advantage. Like, that's the thing that really annoys. And this propagates to like all of professional golf. Like, it really does. And it's something that honestly holds the sport back because there are all these little nuances that most sort of casual fans have no understanding of. And now this narrative is out there that Rory cheated. He was using a non-conforming club and allegedly calling his wins into a question when I don't think any of that should be part of this at all because it's not a big enough advantage. Yes, there's like comfort when you have a driver that you're really comfortable with. And that gives you a little bit of an advantage, except when it comes to actual performance, like it's very, very minuscule.
Yeah. Look, I'm glad we're in agreement with that, and I think it might shock a lot of people that you and I are actually on Team Rory and backing him up on that one. And I think there was Pew Dog, Herb's caddy, was
Nick Pugh.
Nick was making some real good points on Twitter, and I actually joked, said, Nick, no one's going to like what you're saying because it's logical and thought through. That they want vitriol and anger. And as Nick was saying, like you're on the cusp, you're on the line a lot of the time. You just don't know, and if you do lose your gamer, then you need to have some way of having a backup you're really comfortable with. Now, I don't know if Rory's backup was the reason why he didn't play well, but at the end of the day, sometimes people just don't have the best results. It's nothing to do with his driver, but
No, because he wasn't driving it that well at the Truist either, and he was still using the old driver.
Or at the Masters.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't look. Christ, he didn't drive it brilliantly at the Masters, did he? Like, do you think of the first six tee shots, excluding the par three? He didn't exactly like the fairway up at his first six drives on the day four. But
yeah, it's more psychological than anything.
Yeah, and this is what I said. Like, I as people know, I played semi-pro cricket. I batted 7-8. I wasn't exactly the world's greatest batsman, but even I carried two bats. Because if one cracked, if one of my willows cracked, I wanted another one that I liked the weight of, the balance of, ready to take out the bag. So where I do find it weird is that these players don't have, and Nick Pugh was saying that obviously a lot of the live players do because they haven't had all the tour trucks there. And obviously Scottie had one ready to go straight away. He was happy with it. And I'm not saying Rory didn't. And so this isn't a Rory comment. This is just a general comment. I'm amazed from the comments I read and some of the stuff people were saying, how many pro golfers don't have an identical driver they're absolutely happy with in the bag, ready to go, should the other one not be conforming, or you do a Wyndham Clark. And I do want to come on to at the end about club throwing, anger on the course. Look, Bryson.
You know what's bad about this?
Go on.
The fact that we're leading off with this instead of leading off with the PGA Championship. Like this, this is where the golf media gets totally out of whack. I want to put this in the past. I don't want to talk about CT testing or like any of this engineering stuff any more than like anyone else out there. So let's move on to the actual championship because there's a lot for us to talk.
The final thing I'll say on it is, if they do care enough, like you said, the players need to have a second one in the bag that they're ready to go with. It isn't going to be a comfort issue or a psychological issue. That, like, just have one ready.
It's easier said than done. Like, I mean, like we talk about some of these players, they at just the little smallest, it's so rare to find two heads that are exactly 100% the same. And there's always like a little bit of a difference. And not only that, it's like psychologically, even if it's got exactly the same, it's like, oh, I'm not as comfortable with this driver. Like, I don't like it. Like, so there's all these things. And I will say it's also, if we're going to bring live into the equation, it's a lot easier to test 54 players than it is 156. So it is what it is.
Okay, so I did touch on it. And let's talk about the PGA Championship. I do want to talk about anger, club throwing, Lowry's gouging out of the course. But I want to talk about it because it's becoming more prolific, Jay, and I don't like some of it.
That's fine. We need to lead off with who won and who played well because sometimes we just totally gloss over that. Like, no one wants to gloss over Scottie Scheffler winning the PGA Championship more than me. However,
I don't want to. I as you know, I've been a Scottie fan for a long time. I think he's cemented his place as one of the greatest players. of all time. His last 4 years in majors has only been rivaled by Tiger Woods in the modern era. In his wins and the way he's performed in the modern in the modern era of the last 4 years of where he's finished in like second places, third places, top tens. He's just been so consistent for such a long time in that 4 year period. Yes, you've got people who've got more wins than in Rory, but I'm just saying he's one of the in that 4 year period. He's been absolutely only Tiger's had a better 4 year period than he has. Sorry, 3 year
Uh,
period than he has. Because
yeah, I mean, if you
you got
go,
Brooks. Brooks did his over 4. So I'm talking about 3 year period where since Scottie got hot, it's just been. And I think that there are still people out there that doubt Scottie, and I just don't
they
I don't
should.
understand it.
They should doubt him. Because look, we got to be honest about this. I tweeted about this earlier. Yes, winning 3 majors at 28 years old is a big accomplishment, and he's starting to pad his resume, which is, I got to acknowledge that for sure. The thing is, the variety of courses that he's winning on is not like that. Like he's won on 2 courses that are very similar. Let's just call it what it is. The grasses are similar. They're in similar parts of the country, similar times of the year. Like, I mean, Quail Hollow and Augusta National actually like fairly comparable if you really break it down. So I think that that's one thing we really need to be on the lookout for, because like he still has to prove to me and to some of his critics he's got to win a U.S. Open on a golf course that he's not as comfortable on. Uh, we don't have to wait more than a few weeks for Oakmont. Like, that's going to be a really big barometer for him. And then also,
I
let's be
don't I
honest,
don't
like he's got to play links. He has to
I
play
don't
more around the world.
I
He's
don't
got to
think
play well there.
I don't think it's fair. I know what you're saying, but he's got so he's like, if we go back in his majors, and these are on course he's not been happy with. First, fourth, tied 7th, tied 41st, tied 8th, first, third, second, sorry, tied second, 10th, tied 21st, tied second, one miscut, first, tied 8th, tied 7th, tied 8th, tied 4th. It's not like he's gone to the Open and the US Open and gone miscut 30th, 50th, 40th, 50th. In the US Open and the Open, we've got a 7th, a tied 8th, a third, a
Yeah, but
tied second,
a lot of
10th.
those top tens are not competitive top tens, though. We got to be honest. Like they're yes. I mean, whenever you get it, and we're gonna get around the Joaquin Neiman too about the whole non-competitive top 10 thing. Yes, it's something for your resume, but it's also like he hasn't really proven in the Open Championship. He hasn't really been in contention at all. Yes, he has 2 top 10s, and he hasn't played
I do
poorly.
understand. I do understand what you're saying about a non-contending top 10.
Yes.
But if you're getting top 10, if you're getting a 10th, a third, and a tied 8th, tied 7th, I don't think it's fair to say. While I can understand what you're saying, they're non-competitive in the sense that he was 4 or 5 shots off the winner. It's still to finish there. It's not like he's gone. It's not like he's turned up to the Open or turned up to the US Open and just vomited on the course and walked
No,
away.
because his floor. I talk about golfers' floors and their ceilings very, very often. Well, Scotty's floor is very, very high. Let's get that out there for sure. Like if he plays poorly, he's not going to really miss the cut or anything like that. Like he'll still be in like 25th, 30th, something in there if he plays poorly. So if he plays well, obviously he's going to be competitive. It's still remains to be seen though if he's able to actually compete and win on some of these tougher setups, because we got to be honest, Quail Scottie Scheffler has proven that he can do extremely well on PGA Tour courses and setups that are in the Southeast United States. It's a very similar grass. It's all that stuff. It's giving him an advantage in those tournaments. He's yet to really prove that he could win on these tougher setups in places where he's not as comfortable. We're going to look at Oakmont this year. We're going to look at Shinnecock next year. Even Pebble Beach. Like Pebble Beach is a PGA Tour event that he hasn't really won. And I haven't really looked at the numbers, but I don't think he's really played like great there. So there's these little things that he still needs to, yes, he's building his resume for sure. It's been really, really impressive so far. Except the thing that also gets me really fired up is when he starts doing this and then we start comparing him to Tiger and all this stuff. And it's like, I just want to drop those comparisons immediately because he's not Tiger Woods. He's not on that level. And until he proves this for a longer period of time, we can't even compare the two. I just want Scottie to be Scottie. I've said it on Twitter again. I think the comp that I've seen for him is Byron Nelson. I think Byron Nelson is an absolutely perfect comp for this point in his career. And Byron Nelson, he won a ton on the PGA Tour. He won a ton of setups that are very, very similar to each other. He won 5 majors. He won a couple Masters. Like, he had a lot of success. And I mean, he retired a little bit earlier. I think he retired like maybe he was like in his mid to late 30s. So he probably left a little bit out there. He probably left a little meat on the bone as far as his career goes. But I just want us to pump the brakes, because when we start pumping these guys up and like comparing them to players that are almost like unattainable, it takes away from that player. So I don't want anything to really take away from Scottie Scheffler. I don't want to compare him to Tiger. I want him to be compared to people that are more similar.
We are going to have to agree to disagree. Like the US Open 2022, he finished tied second, 1 shot behind Matt Fitzpatrick. He finished tied second, Will Zalatoris. So I think you're being a little bit harsh. I understand your point, but I do think you're being a little bit harsh. I understand your point with the relevance to the Open. He's had a tied 8th and a tied 7th, tied 21st, tied 23rd. Obviously, people watching this, I don't know every one of these off the top of my head. That's why I'm looking at my screen. But yeah, I do think you're being a bit harsh on that, on his US Open performance, because to be 1 shot off the lead in 2022, and he was 4 shots off the lead in 2023 when 3 shots off the lead when Wyndham Clark won it. But yeah, I think you're being a little bit harsh.
If we're gonna start comparing him to Tiger Woods and people like that, you have to be hard.
The comparison isn't to Tiger Woods' overall career. I'm just talking about a dominance for a few year period, and I'm not comparing him to Tiger. I'm saying other than Tiger, it is Tiger, huge gap, Scottie. Just in that sort of that 3.5-4 year run he's had, which has been superb. And as you say, if I don't think he needs to win the US Open or the Open to be able to hold those credentials higher than you say he's not. I just think if he goes to the US Open and gets,
if he wants to be higher than Rory McIlroy, he's going to have to win all 4. Rory just won the Grand Slam. Like, I mean, you can't rate Scottie Scheffler higher than Rory McIlroy. Like, you just can't.
Oh,
and Rory's a global player.
As a player now,
as a player overall in his career, because we also have to be honest. Rory McIlroy had already had 4 majors by the time he was 24. Scottie Scheffler was 28. It's not like he's a spring chicken.
No,
he's going to be 29 in a month. So
I get that. I do get that. I think it's just a bit harsh when I think you are being a bit.
I don't think it's harsh though. I just think it's fair. I think that again, when some of these guys you start rating them in history, there's a lot of recency bias. And like, look, he's played very well in majors, but like so is Rory. Like Rory's had so many top 5s and top 10s in majors in a short amount of time. Like if you look at the years Rory won, or a couple years after, like he racked up a ton of top 10s. So, and he's got 4. Well, he's got 5 now. So, I just think longevity plays a really, really important part in this, and it's part of the reason why I just want people to try to appreciate Scottie Scheffler for what he's doing now. He's not at the point. Again, we talk about players being overrated in history. People have him rated here. He's actually like right here right now, and right here is very, very high. Look, winning 3 majors is really impressive, but Jordan Spieth has 3 too. Jordan Spieth has a similar amount of PGA Tour wins. Like we're going to say he's better than Jordan Spieth in his career? I don't think so. Not yet. So we just got to pump the brakes on this stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Should we talk about the one thing he did prove that I know was a little bit of a doubt for some players? Scottie's always been a great front runner. And a lot of people said, what's he going to, how would he perform if he falters and other people play well? Well, after 9 holes, Rahm and Bryson were right up with him. He'd had a bad first 9. The leader was very much in doubt. But let's be blunt. There was a great line. Someone said, whatever he discovered walking from the 9th green to the 10th tee, he needs to bottle that and sell it, because there was a player who looked like the wheels were literally down to the bolts shearing off, and all of a sudden he's managed to right that ship and just play brilliant golf. A little bit like he did on day 3, when he was, I think he was one back, and then he played the last 4 holes or 5 holes and 6 under.
That's what won him this championship. Those 4 or 5 holes on Saturday won him this championship. We also have to say that this golf tournament could have gone another way very, very easily. I mean, we were fractions away. Jon Rahm was a fraction away from making 6 consecutive birdies on that back nine. And if he does that, like he birdies 10, he birdies 11. He was millimeters away from birdieing 12 and 13. I mean, he hit 2 putts. I still don't know how he missed them.
He was literally an eighth of a ball from 2 other birdies.
And if he gets those
combined,
2, that gets
I don't mean per one. I mean combined. He was a 16th of a ball on each of them from
easily. Like, I still don't know how that putt on 13 didn't go in. Like, it looks so good. I was already fist bumping. He was walking after it. It looked so good, but he missed. That would have got him to 11. And like, we know how much Jon Rahm is a momentum player. There's no doubt in my mind, if he gets those 2, he's birdieing 14, he's birdieing 15, and that gets him to 13 under. And then all of a sudden, he could play the green mile so conservatively. He doesn't have to like fire at flagstick. Like he wouldn't have had to fire at the flagstick on 17. He wouldn't have had to play aggressively on 18.
Oh, well, look at the way Jon Rahm fell off. No,
he's trying to win. He's trying to win.
Morons bother me because they say, this guy wrote in one of my comments, Rahm's just proven why he only plays 54 holes. Look how tired he was on 17 and 18. Like, if you honestly think Jon Rahm was tired on 17 and 18, you're a cretinous twat. Honestly, because Jon Rahm's not going to play 17 and 18 conservatively to make sure he takes second, 3 back. Jon Rahm's going, I want a birdie 17, I want a birdie 18, get the clubhouse lead, and hopefully he falters. People going, oh well, he played his decision making on 17 and 18 was poor. No, it wasn't. It wasn't poor decision making. He wanted to
poor
win.
Execution. That's all it was.
Oh, Rahm couldn't give a shit. If John was here now and I said, John, do you care that you finished 10th rather than, or was it 8th? Can't remember, everything's gone by.
Yeah, it was tied 8th.
Tied 8th rather than second. You go, couldn't give a shit. There is no ounce of Jon Rahm that gives a toss about 8th or second. He gives a toss about first. And these cretins who say this stuff, it gets right on my tits.
Look, that doesn't bother me as much anymore because
that's a much better screen than earlier when you had about 55,000 tabs open.
Oh my God, don't even get me started. Yeah, my browser situation is a complete disaster during working hours, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, like these guys on social media, like I keep telling you all the time, it's very easy to point out who's serious and who's not. You just got to mute and block the ones that aren't serious anymore, because it's just like, we don't have enough time for all these clowns. But yeah, Rahm, like he was so close to getting this done. Like, I was so fired up. It's the reason why I'm wearing the Legion hat today. Like, and also shout out to the rest of Legion too. Shout out to Terrell Hatton, Tom McKibben. Like, great showing. All 3 of you guys making the cut. Really, really impressive. Led by Captain Jon Rahm, obviously. So yeah, Rahm was really close. I think that he's rounding in the form like I thought that he would around this time of year. Like, I wanted to see a little something from him in a major. This was the one for us to see it. He didn't have to win it. Except I think he's got to be one of the top 2 or 3 favorites at Oakmont. I think he's got the game, obviously, to win there. He's already won a U.S. Open on a very, very difficult course with like really deep rough at Torrey Pines, really firm greens, all that stuff. Oakmont is probably a little bit of a cut above that, except he's rounding in the form, and he's going to be really hard to beat there. And so is the other guy that we haven't talked about yet, Bryson DeChambeau. So, you got to give Bryson credit for finishing in second. with less than his best stuff. Like, I mean, Bryson is playing with what is C plus game right now, maybe B minus game, and for him to be in contention Saturday, and obviously he made a couple of mistakes coming in, but I mean, still he finished second place, so it's like it's not like he's uncompetitive. Like he was right there on the weekend with another chance, and he knows more than anybody else. He just needs to make a couple tweaks, just get a little more. Just I think his confidence is already there. Like his driving is there, his putting is there, his short game is there. It's just those irons that like that yardage from like 75 to like 150
120.
yards.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Where do you hold with the view of, I know he won the US Open with these new clubs in the bag. I know he won that. But there were a few shots in that US Open with those irons that were questionable. And I know he's into the science. I know he's into experimenting. But it does feel to me that maybe they aren't quite right, because he said he wants a ball that goes straighter. That was his comment. Now,
He needs irons that go straight.
yeah, I don't think it's a ball that needs to go straighter, because it goes straight for everybody. I do
That could
feel
help.
that, yeah, but there is no straighter ball. We've got the ball we've got.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Might be in the works.
But maybe the irons just need to be rethought for a little while. Maybe he needs to go play a more traditional iron set and try that, and get on the range and try it. Because it's just, they're just not, they don't look like they're fully working for him. It looks like if he gets a tiny bit tight, then the pulls come in, and it also looked, and there was a couple he left short. It looks like, I'm not saying he's catching it high on the face, but you and I have both hit golf balls where we've hit it a groove and a half up, and it's come 10 yards short. It feels like he can hit it a groove and a half up, and because of all the tech in them, it's a groove and a half up. It's coming up 20 yards short. And I'm just wondering if maybe the forgiveness he is getting in some ways is actually being offset with a lack of forgiveness in others.
I mean, it's hard to say. I
I
think
know it's
that
hard to say, and it's just
no,
conjecture,
no,
but that's what we're here for.
no, it's fair. I think the thing with Bryson, and like this is something that I saw. There's a few shots that he hit on Sunday that like I picked up on it right away. It was like the ones that he was able to get close. There was a huge difference. He wasn't going all out. I mean, he was trying to feather one in, like on what was that, maybe 12. He was trying to feather in like a little wedge into there, and it's like he wasn't going at it that hard, and he hit it like inside 10 feet. I was like, something to me clicked, and I was like, Bryson, that's the thing. Like, I know he can obviously hit it so far, like the whole long drive thing is his thing. Except when it comes to those more finesse clubs, I would much rather. And we talked about this with Rory McIlroy too, where he needed to like start flighting shots, and like instead of going at everything 100% all the time, like those mid to short irons. I never want to see Bryson going at a shot 90+% when it comes to the irons, because I think that only adds to the spin. Things start going offline, and I'm a low amateur, so I know this stuff, and I know he knows it too. But it's like when you get into, and I know Jibo knows this too, his caddy. Except that's the thing that I want him to work on a little bit more, because if he does that one little thing, I think the rest of his game is so good. If he could just be slightly above average with those irons from like 75 to 150 yards, he would literally win everything. Like he's driving it that well. His chipping is elite. Like his putting is amazing.
I think his chipping is woefully underrated.
Oh my god, his chipping is really good. Like he gained shots off the tee this week. He gained shots around the green. He gained shots putting. There's very few guys. I mean, he was like, what was he? Yeah, he was number one strokes game off the tee, which is, I mean, he's going to do that basically every time he tees it up. Um, if he could just like that small little approach number, if he could improve that, it's like half a shot. Like he's winning Oakmont by multiple shots. He's going to win a bunch of other live events this year if he does that one little thing. So I'm interested to see. I know he's going to go back in the lab. He's got another 3 weeks before the next live event, 4 weeks before the U.S. Open. I know the next couple of weeks he's going to go in the lab. He wants to check out a few things. He might be changing his ball. He might be making a couple of tweaks of the irons. Not sure. Except I'm very interested to see what the scientist has cracked up. I don't want him making too many changes this season. I want him to save that to next season. Like if he needs to make a major change, he needs to save it because he's playing so well. I want to see him make little incremental things, nothing major.
I get that. We're talking about yardages. Now, what's the very best way, Jay, to know what yardage you've got?
You got to have a rangefinder. You got to have a great rangefinder. Yeah.
And if you were going to buy a rangefinder, which brand would you go with? What website would you go to?
I mean, you got to go to shotscope.com. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And if you got a checkout, what are you going to do? You're going to pay the full price, or are you going to put in Golf Lover and get 15% off?
Why wouldn't you get a discount on your rangefinder? Like, I mean, they're not cheap. So you want to get a little discount. It helps us out a little bit too if you use the promo code Golf Lover, one word. I've got mine already. I've started testing out more and more. Use it for the first time in a tournament last week. That wasn't the reason for my poor play. It was more putting than anything else. But that's another.
If you want to talk about poor play, I played on Monday 6,700 yards, shot 4 over off 6,700 yards, long course. Used my driver twice. Just it's running in the UK at the minute. It's dry as hell here. Hitting 5 irons and hybrids everywhere. Shot 4 over. He tied my lowest ever score on a very, very, very long course. 6,700 yards is long. And then on Friday, I shot 12 over for 9.
I know it's like me. Like
it's the weirdest game in the world, isn't it?
I'll have a practice round.
I couldn't miss a fairway or green on Monday. Couldn't miss a fairway or green. And then on Friday, I might as well have held the club head and hit it with a handle.
Putting for me has been a huge issue in tournaments recently. Like I had the Wyndham Clarks going. I was throwing my putter. I was so upset. And it's like, that's the one part of the game that I've got to probably dial in most in the near future is my putting. So I got to try out some other stuff. I'm looking at Lab. I'm looking at Ping. I'm looking at a few other putters. Maybe even Scottie Cameron at this point. I don't know.
When we played, like putting was your weakness. Like I know you were 3 over the front 9 and 1 under for the back 9. It wasn't like you didn't play well.
No, I was actually under par for the day, so just keep that in mind.
Are you what? Yeah, you 1 under for the day. You 1 under
69 par 70. Yeah. So
you're 1 under for the day. Sorry, yeah. I forget
that. No, it's fine. But didn't have a lot of gimmies either. I was making putts, except I also missed like 3 putts inside 5 feet too. So there's definitely I want to try Lab.
The abuse your dad gave you on that short par 3. Over the water when pin was tucked back left when you missed a 5-footer and your dad just basically said you're not my son and walked off.
That's my dad for sure. That wasn't the one that really grinded my gears though. Like the one for me was there was a 1 par 4 in the back. I hit the most beautiful little knockdown 8-iron to like 3.5 feet into the wind, and it was just like perfect. And I had a putt up the hill and I pulled it. It's like those are the things that just we
laid up with irons, and then we put 8 irons into that green over the water that came in, and then you missed that 3.5 footer.
Yeah, so I got it. I'm already in the lab. Kind of shout out Bryson. I'm in the lab right now. I might be trying to arm lock. I might be trying to change my grip. I'm getting on Quintic to really see like what my misses are because like when I'm missing putts, I don't even know what my misses are at this point. I'm just completely lost with my putting. So I got to figure that out.
My mate Gareth at the moment's got 2 putters in his bag because he just cannot cope with either one. Like he's just like he's literally has no idea where he wants to. Like he's got like a 25-year-old putter and a brand new Wilson, and he's got no idea which one he's using. He putts badly with one, goes the other, putts badly with it, goes back. Putting is so weird.
I was suggesting to Phil, like Phil needs to have 2 putters. He needs to have the Tiger Slayer, and he needs to have the Lab in there for little short short putts use the lab, longer field putts like lag putting needs to use the Tiger Slayer. Like that's where I'm at this point. I might be using 2 putters soon. I mean, we'll have to see, but I got to figure out.
If there's any golfer in the world that could have 2 drivers in the bag and 2 putters and just no one think it was odd, it is Phil Mickelson.
I'd love to see it. Love to see it. So, yeah, he's a great example.
You said about throwing clubs. Now, look, I am someone who can run hot at times. Now, my issue is with what happened. Bryson throwing that putter, literally, I think TV angles, who knows? But it looked like it was about 1.5 feet away from Tony's face. That putter from rearranging Tony's teeth on 18 when tight. But like, that just don't do that, Bryson. I love Bryson to bits. I just don't think it's ever acceptable to chuck a club. Wyndham Clark, that Marshall, came out and said Marshall quite rightly said I was terrified because it's missed the Marshall by about 1.5 feet. He snapped his driver. Shane Lowry. Everyone said, Shane Lowry was an embedded ball. It wasn't an embedded ball. It was in the front of someone else's divot. Yeah, yes, horrible lie. Yes, unfortunate. Yes, it's a load of shit. You shouldn't ever have to play off the tee and be in the front of someone else's divot that hadn't been repaired properly, and your ball is about half of the ball was buried. Like, it was a dreadful lie. But he's moaning about someone else's divot to then lose his temper like a little child and smash the course and make an even bigger divot, an even bigger mark. It's going to be hard to repair for someone else to land in. I just don't think I've said this before, if you're cross, snap your club over your knee and move on. Kick your bag. Throw your ball into the water. Do whatever you want to do to your stuff. Don't throw a club at someone in anyone else's direction, and don't hack at the ground. Like,
yeah,
Tyrrell did it, didn't he? Did Tyrrell do it? Where did Tyrrell do it? Where Tyrrell hit a tee marker. Like, just don't do it.
might have been Hong Kong or something. Yeah, I mean, he does it kind of frequently too. But
I get it, but don't cause damage at someone else. And I put it on Instagram, and like the amount of people saying, the grounds team will repair it. The grounds team will repair it. Isn't it nice to see passion? Passion's great, amazing, but if you're going to moan about a divot on the fairway, don't make a bigger one. Like, just don't do it.
It was a bad look. It was definitely a bad look. But look, Shane Lowry has kind of been in a bad place mentally, like the last few weeks, like ever since the Masters where he shot like 81 in the final round. And then he obviously lost signature event, Truist of Philly Cricket, the week before the PGA. Where he's been refusing to speak to media. Maybe he's taking after his best friend Rory. I mean, who knows? But it's just been a lot of kind of like weird angst amongst this contingent of players that like maybe they have regrets about some decisions that they made in the past, and maybe that's feeding into their anger on the golf course. Maybe that's feeding into their frustration with their golf game because they realize they left money on the table they'll never get back. That could all be part of the equation. Like, it's hard for me to say for sure, but it's not a coincidence. Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, they're not really in the best headspace right now. There's definitely a lot of weird stuff going on with them. But look, anger in golf is part of the deal. I just think everyone they need to. Like, I'm really big on a lot of these guys talking about it in the media, and even if you're upset and like some bad stuff going on in your game, I think one of the great things about live golf that people just conveniently totally gloss over is that it doesn't matter what happens, you are contractually obligated to talk to the media after rounds. And the PGA Tour is not like that. Like, basically everything on the PGA Tour for the stars is like totally optional. It's part of the deal. So, and those are things that we need to like really start thinking about. Like, I know for a fact SSG is thinking about this, talking about it. Liv is already doing this. So it's only going to be a matter of time before there's these like contractual obligations. And they should have some more guaranteed money to do this for sure. Just like they have guaranteed money with some of these equipment manufacturers, and they are contractually obligated to do photo shoots and like promotional stuff, all those things. that's all going to be formalized in the next few years into professional golf, where these guys are going to have obligations to the media that they have to fulfill. And if they don't fulfill that, they will be receiving huge fines, and like some of their guaranteed money will be taken back. So I think that's something people need to be on the lookout for, because I think everybody should fulfill their media obligations. And if you're mad about it, talk to us at the next event. Tell me why you're mad. I want to know. I want to know what's going through your
Yeah.
head. I think these are important things.
Yeah. But just talk, and Rory not talking to the media for 4 rounds in a row has just exacerbated these comments and these
Yes,
thoughts.
weird,
He could have
really weird.
just done what Scottie did, and just come around and said, yeah, it didn't test. It was non-conforming. I went to my backup, and then there's one of those things you just got to crack on with it. You never know if you try. What's his name? Brain's gone blank. The guy who runs Bunkered.
Michael McEwen.
Michael McEwen put a fantastic breakdown of hot drivers, and he said like an MOT. Do you guys have an MOT in America? Is it called the same thing, where you take your car in every year to make sure it's working and meets testing results? So in the UK, we have something
No,
called
we
an
have
MOT.
other stuff, like we have smog testing. We have California, we have all sorts of
So
regulations
in
that we
the UK,
don't need.
every single year, your car's got to go in for an MOT, and there's about 30, 40 checks done to make sure the tyres are okay, the engine's okay, this, that, all this sort of stuff, on emissions and safety. And
we have some of that.
Yeah, you can drive your car around, and then you take your car in for MOT. When you're driving it, you've got no idea if there's something wrong. My car failed an MOT a few years ago. Turned out I had an issue with one of my wipers, and I didn't know. And they said it's called a conditional pass, that as long as I say, yes, please change my wiper blade, then it passes. But when you go in, you don't know these things. So I don't think anyone's blaming him. Like as Scottie said, I had no idea. It tested as non-conforming. I didn't know. Put the next one in the bag and crack on with it. And I just think Rory could have said the same thing. What did you think of Amanda Balionis's tweet, where she was that a very, very deliberate jab at Rory?
Shots fired. She not only
But like it was massive praise for Rahm, massive praise for Bryson, saying how much she respects professional golfers who've been close to doing something but failed, but still give the time to talk to the fans and the media. She went in. In the UK, we'll call that a 2-footed challenge. You'd call that in American football, you'd call that a horse collar tackle. Like she went full horse collar on him.
It's her job. Like I'm sure she wants to talk to every player that I'm sure there was a request in to talk to Rory. He didn't do it for whatever reason. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about that, but I'm not gonna. I talk enough conspiracy theories. I don't want to bring this one up too. Except we gotta say, like, for her to mention John Rahm and Bryson specifically, and like, look, this is a culture. I keep telling people, you want to ignore this about live golf. It's totally fine. All these guys again have contractual obligations to talk to the media and all that. That puts you in a mindset where like you're going to talk to the media after the round no matter what. And you're more mentally tough where it doesn't matter what happens. You're going to talk about it. John Rahm talked about it in his post round presser after he lost. He's like, "Am I upset about losing this?" Yes, of course. However, like my boss tells me, we don't have a heart in a cooler here. Like this isn't life or death. You're going to go back to your family and everything's going to be fine. And you get up and you get after it the next one. And that's exactly what he said. I'll be ready for Oakmont. And I know he's going to be ready for Oakmont because he found something this week. And I think Rahm and Bryson and Scottie, those three, and Rory too, and probably Xander as well. It's kind of a big five right now that are going to be in a lot of the majors, like competing for it. Like some combination of those guys are going to be the favorites. I think that Rahm's going to be hard to beat because he's got that mentality back. I could see it in his eyes. He's like, he wanted this so bad and he didn't get it, but he's like, next time, Oakmont, I'm going to be ready. And that course feeds into his game. So does Portrush too. I think he's going to have a great major championship season. And like I said at the beginning of the season, he's going to win a major this year. I always had him slated to win Oakmont, And I have a funny feeling he might do it. His biggest challenger might be Bryson, because Bryson, that course fits him really well if he gets his iron game right. So, which is an important thing for him. He's got to figure that out at the next few weeks.
I just think very quickly there are a lot of players that is a very weird leaderboard in many ways across the leaderboard. And what happened? Great to see Dickie Bland, aged 174, still playing great on a course that, let's be honest, Dickie Bland on a 7,200-yard course where it's wet and not running out to finish in the top 40 is absolutely fantastic. Victor Hovland again is showing some signs of life and sort of getting it back a little bit. Xander looks to be returning from that injury really well. Shout out to Adam Scott. Adam Scott's major record. The stat I loved was Adam Scott has now been to the last time he wasn't in a major. Scottie Scheffler was just celebrating his 4th birthday. He's been so consistent, and I think sometimes people miss out on people think things like that. Corey Connors, not enough people I think talk about Corey Connors and just how Corey Connors has just been so consistent. I'm not talking lots of wins, but Corey Connors just been so consistent now. The last sort of 3.5 years, he's just been there or thereabouts, top of the leaderboard.
He played well at the Masters too. I'll give him a little credit.
Mm-hmm. And then I think a special mention, I know he didn't have a good day for Alex Noren, but Alex Noren suffered an injury, had to have an operation.
Multiple injuries.
Yeah,
crazy.
But I mean for the most recent one, and he had 6 months out. He had played 2 rounds or 3 rounds, 2 rounds competitive golf before he turned up, and yeah, he had a bad last day. But for Alex,
he had a great 54 holes though. Yeah.
He had a fantastic 54 holes, and I think that's good. And then you've got players like Matt Wallace on your board there. Like Matt Wallace has just been grinding recently, playing well, and also players like Siwoo Kim. Like again, he didn't have a great 4th day, but Siwoo Kim is. There's a lot of players that I think just fly under the radar at times that maybe people just see them as names in the leaderboard, but actually they've been putting together some really good years.
It's easy to do, and I tell people this all the time. It's so easy on the PGA Tour to do this because they have so many players. They have over 200 to 300 players, and it's so hard to stand out. It's way easier to stand out on LIV because there's only 54 players. And if you win an event or you play well, you're going to be up there in the standings, and like people are going to know who you are. So that's something a lot of these guys, like when they're making their decision about where they play, this to me is a huge reason why Tom McKibben came over to LIV. And shout out to Tom McKibben making the cut, his first ever PGA. You finished 50th. Like I know he didn't have the weekend that he really wanted to, except just making the cut your first PGA Championship is a huge accomplishment. Shout out to him. Except like, I mean, Tom McKibben's had a lot of focus on him this year because he's a rookie. He's probably the best rookie on LIV at this point. He's playing well. He's getting into majors. He's making a name for himself. He's learning under the 2 of the greatest European tour players of all time in Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton. And those things mean something, like they really do. And like those are experiences that he wouldn't have if he was playing on the PGA Tour. Like he just wouldn't. I know he wanted to beat Rory in this tournament really bad. He came up 1 shot short, unfortunately. So he finished +4. Rory finished +3. So as the lone Northern Irishman. But yeah, shout out to Tom McKibben. Like I look forward to seeing him play well the rest of the year. I know he's in the Open Championship, aka British Open. He's not yet in the U.S. Open. I know he's going to go through a qualifying right before LIV DC, aka LIV Virginia. Now they're calling it. So yeah, we'll have to see if he gets in the other 2. He's definitely in. He's definitely in for Portrush though, so I'm looking to see him play well.
LIV DC is a bit like when they used to call Centurion LIV London.
Yeah, for sure.
It ain't
London. It's not anywhere near DC. No. That's why they changed the name.
It's
Virginia makes more sense. For sure.
it's an hour and 10 minutes from outer London to Centurion. Like it's
That's about how far Robert Trent Jones Golf Club is from downtown DC, for sure.
now
Yeah.
also like I know that you think my little love affair with Harris English is crazy, but I love his swing. I could watch Harris English swing a golf club. I could close my eyes and just drift off to sleep thinking Harris English is. But what a round! What six under?
665.
Six.
Yeah, 665. Got to give him credit.
Mate,
give him credit.
Yeah, like I love watching Harris English swing a golf club. I just think it's absolute. For me, it's almost Louis-esque in just the smooth, silky easiness of it. Like there's few players I watch that I just go, how are you hitting it that far and that purely? You look like it looks like you just go that, and it's just like it just flushes the shit out of it.
People confuse him for Hudson Swafford though a lot because they have very similar looks. They're similar size.
They don't have a similar swing.
Well, swings are maybe not now. Obviously, Hudson Swafford's kind of struggled last a couple of years with injuries. Except I think that there's a lot of these guys. I mean, a lot of these guys just like have similar. Like I've never been a Harris English fan. I never will. For a lot of reasons, I'm just not like an SEC guy. Like a lot of these guys play golf at SEC schools, particularly like Georgia and Florida. Shout out Billy Ho. But I do like Bubba Watson. So he's one of the UGA guy, one of the exceptions. But I just think a lot of these guys are kind of the same. Like they're kind of nondescript. They're all wearing Peter Millar. They're all wearing, a Titleist hat. So
that's not what bothers me. It's just his swing. Now,
that's fine.
Were we? Let's finish with this. Were we 2 shots off Keegan Bradley being a playing captain for the Ryder Cup? Because if he'd been 2 shots better, he'd have finished solo second, and you got to think, would Keegan Bradley have ended up having to pick himself?
I think he might. The way some of these guys on the U.S. team are playing right now, like you look at guys like Brooks, not playing well right now. Let's call a spade a spade. DJ not good. Jordan Spieth, where's Jordan Spieth? Jordan Spieth is playing terrible.
Well, so if you look at the top 12 American players, right? Scottie, Xander, Colin, JT, they're all playing great. They're all going to be in. Russell Henley arguably can't not be picked based on his position.
Bryson, yeah, but he just missed the cut in this tournament. Like, and
I know,
Bethpage is not a course fit for him. It's not.
Well, yeah, Bryson. And then you're dropping, and no disrespect to Maverick McNeely, but Maverick McNeely is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th highest ranked American player in OWGR. Then you've got Cantley, Bradley, English, Wyndham Clark, who from Liv would come and play in the Americans that are playing great at the minute. I don't think. Look, mate, I'm a bigger fan of Brooks anyway. I don't think you could. I don't think you can pick Brooks.
Not right now.
You definitely can't. You definitely can't pick DJ at the minute. Like
the only one is Patrick Reed. Reed and Bryson. Those are the two guys at the moment, and they're not going to pick Patrick Reed basically unless he's got another top 2-3 finish in a major and he forces himself up there.
Someone said to me, and I don't know if it's true, but someone said apparently Scottie was asked about it in an interview, and he said, "Oh, if Patrick gets picked, I'll happily play with Patrick." I don't.
That would be a formidable team.
I don't know where that came from. I read it, so apologies if it's absolute spurious bullshit. But I read that when Scottie was asked, and he said, "Yeah, I'd happily with Patrick Reed." Now, I tell you what, if there's a pair I don't want to play, I don't want to play against
Scottie, Scheffler, and Patrick Reed would be a formidable team for sure.
It'd be vile.
Or even Bryson and Patrick Reed, like have a little bit of a live corner.
I saw a great line the other day. Europe on paper are a stronger team than America at the minute, but the number one thing Europe could do is persuade Waco to become Spanish officially.
Might be a little bit, yeah. Might be a little too late for that. He has more of a chance of becoming an American at this point. Yeah, but some of these guys, like if you look at
that list you got there is not.
it's not. I mean, we got to be honest. Matt McNeely, Andrew Novak, Brian Harmon, JJ Spawn, like these guys are not exactly world beaters.
They're not getting picked, are they?
No, like I mean, Keegan Bradley's 17th. Like I would take Keegan Bradley over most of these guys. I mean, it's
Well, Billy's out. Michael Kim isn't
yeah,
getting picked.
no,
Akshay Bhatia is actually one of the ones that could come through.
he's got to play
As is
better though. He missed the cut. He missed the cut.
As is Sahith. They could both.
Yeah, he had an injury though. He had
Yeah.
to WD from the PGA. That's a little concerning. So I mean, I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, it's 3 minutes past 11 in the UK. One of us has got to be up at 6 a.m. to get a train to London, and I don't think it's you, is it?
unless they have trains that go from San Francisco to London, yeah, it's not part of the deal. However, yeah, I was
Give Elon a year and a half. He'll have a hyperloop there. Yeah.
maybe we might have to go. We might have to have a train in space. So yeah, I was expecting us to cover Ryder Cup stuff because I don't even want to talk about Ryder Cup until the majors are over.
We accidentally tripped into it, but it was more because of the Keegan stuff. But look,
yeah, Keegan,
maybe between the US Open and the Open, we can just because there'll be 3 more PGA Tour events and the US Open that'll really knock those points around a little bit. There's some big points out there in the next 5 weeks, so maybe after the US Open, we can have another look at that table and just see what it's looking like, because I think it's going to be an interesting story to see, because the European team seems to be picking itself with a few questions. Like Laurie Cantor's not quite in that position, Eugenio's not quite in that position, but they could both play themselves into it.
Mm-hmm.
And equally, if they don't quite play themselves into the points, they could be captain's picks. I think the captain's picks from the European players on Live are fairly obvious. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens, because I think the Ryder Cup, this does feel to me to be the first time in a while. I know the Europeans have won in America a fair bit this in the last 20 years, but this does feel to me to be the first time where I'm looking at it going, unless the Americans get their act together, the Europeans are actually going to start favourite, and deservedly so.
I still think
I know your home field thing. I get that. I'm not. I'm just talking. If it wasn't home field and if it was just played in South Africa or Australia, I'm talking the 2 teams versus each other. It does at the moment feel to me that this can be the first time for a long time, unless some of the Americans step up, that you go on paper, the Europeans are a much better team.
Yeah, I still think the bottom of the European team, it's kind of a lot of, like, we haven't even talked about Ludwig. Ludwig played so poorly. He was last in strokes gained off the tee before the cut was made. I think it was just the second round he was last. But that is like, he's known for his driving, and to be last is a concern. So there's Ludwig. Rahm is like down there in the 20s because he hasn't played like almost any European tour. But I mean, he's obviously going to get picked. But except you look at the bottom of that team, like you're looking at Thomas Dietrich. I mean, is Hovland going to be in good shape by then? I mean, who knows? I mean, Laurie Cantor. I mean, if I'm them, I'm looking at Sergio and David Puig for sure.
Oh, so the picks me off of Live that I think are almost guaranteed are Rahm, Hatton, Sergio, and Puig.
Oh, so you've got him as a lock. Got Puig a lot.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah. Like who am I taking? Am I taking like am I taking? Oh,
you're taking Fleetwood. You're taking Ludwig. Even if he's playing bad, you're taking him. You're taking Hovland. But that leaves 3 more guys, and then you just gotta. You're obviously taking Rahm, so that leaves 2. Lowry's up there in the top.
Taking Rose.
Yeah, he's in the 6th spot right now.
Bobby McIntyre.
We sure about that?
Well, I'm just talking on rankings and points where he sits. Like he's probably.
I think they need to look at Sergio. Honestly, they need better.
And then you've got
Yeah.
And you've got Eugenio and Laurie Cantor as well.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Matt Fitzpatrick has been. He had a better major this year, but he's been playing really poorly this year. So I mean, he's another one that you assume was going to be on. I don't think he's on the team as of now. So yeah, there's a lot of ways it could go. We could spend another hour talking about the Ryder Cup. There's a lot of ways it could go at this point. There's a lot more tournaments for us to really gauge it. A lot of these live guys are going to be playing on the European Tour in the summertime too, so they'll be able to get some points that way. Thomas Peters is actually he is playing this week, coming up in Belgium on the European Tour. So I'm excited to see that. It's a lot of guys in U.S. Open qualifying. Shout out to Junichiro Kazuma from the Ironheads,
Yeah.
qualified for the U.S. Open. That gives Liv 11 guys in the U.S. Open as of right now. I know Sergio was playing in the Dallas qualifier today. He was playing really well, shot 65 first round. I don't know where that stands as of now, but there's a lot of guys. I think Liv will probably have in the neighborhood again of 15 to 20 guys that get in.
Just interestingly on that last bit on the European team, I tell you a player I thought was going to be in there. I thought after the first 2 weeks of Live that Adrian Ronk was going to be in there. Adrian Ronk's really confused me.
Yeah.
Well, not confused me. He's just obviously something's gone wrong with his game because Ronk won the first one, tied 12th, then he's gone 42nd, 32nd, 39th, DFL, and 39th. And did you hear the result from the US Open qualifying today?
Wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. He was
Do
way
you know
over
how
par.
bad it? Do you know how bad it was?
Yeah, no. Him and Sam Horsfield were
12 over. He was 12 over for 36 holes at Walton Heath.
Yeah, I mean,
that is one of my favorite courses. That's one of my favorite courses. God, I love Walton Heath.
Yeah, I've seen it on TV. I haven't been there, but yeah.
When you come over, let's work the dates out. Like you and I planning our own holiday on podcasts. Indulge us, people. Sorry. When you come over, let's work the dates out properly because we can go and play Walton Heath because my cousin's situation up there, so we can go and play.
If we play there, I'm definitely bringing on clubs for sure. So
bring your clubs, then we'll play in my club's pro-am on the Monday, and then play Walton Heath on the Tuesday, and then you can get on a plane on the Wednesday.
Okay, I'll have to look at my calendar, diary as you like to call it. We'll have to figure that out.
I call it. Weirdly, calendar for me is planning days. Diary is planning the day in that calendar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we're British and we're mental.
Every day. Interesting. Quick update, really, on the U.S. Open qualifier in Dallas. Currently, Sergio unfortunately has dropped down a couple spots. They still have 9 holes left. Eugenio Lopez Chicara is in the catbird seat right now, looking at possibly qualifying for the U.S. Open again. So, and he's, of all the live guys or live adjacent guys, he's up there. Caleb Surratt, he shot really poorly in the first round. He is 7 under in his second round. He's creeping up the leaderboard. So this,
do you know what? Yeah. Caleb might be of all the golfers in the world that frustrate me the most in a good way, in a charming way. I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone I think is more talented in the world that can just have like 4 bad holes out of 5, put himself out of contention, and then just go 5 birdies on the bounce to be 1 off, but because you started so far back, like it's so frustrating. Like I just feel he's that click away from it. Just say the players that qualify from Walton Heath for the US Open: Jordan Smith, Joachim Leguerin, Guido Migliozzi, Frederick Lacroix, Sam Bairstow, Eduardo Molinari, Jacques Krujovic, that'll be it, and Andrea Pavan, and the two alternates are Robin Williams and Matthew Jordan. But I'm not being derogatory to those players, but Meronk has something at the minute where he's just not firing. It's not quite going right for him. Not sure what it is. I really hope he can discover it again soon, because when he won in Saudi and when he got that tied 12th, he was playing some beautiful golf. So
he really was.
Hopefully Adrian can find that again.
Yeah, the Cleeks need him too. Cleeks without a really good Adrian Meronk are just not gonna do anything this year. So, and that's
You know,
exactly what we've seen.
as we covered off last week, if you take out Richard Bland out of the last 5 events, so ignore the first 2 out of the last 5 events, they've only had one person beside Richard Bland on one occasion finishing the points, and that's just
Shout out Blandy too, finishing 37th in the PGA Championship. Like that is so impressive. Like he's in Oakmont as well, but I mean he beat Ludwig by 6 shots during those first 2 rounds. Like I mean he's a world beater. Like he really is, and he finds a way to get it done. I mean he was up there going into Saturday like with a chance. And for him to finish top 40 in his PGA Championship, shoot, we got to keep shouting out Blandy. Like, just really, really impressive stuff.
Yeah.
And shout out Wacko for his first top 10, obviously, in a major.
It was a top 10. I love Wacko. It felt like a bit like a backdoor top 10.
Well, it was definitely a backdoor, but it counts the same on Wikipedia.
I know it does. I know it does, but yeah, if you're not giving Scottie props for a tied second, 1 shot off the lead in 2022, we can't give Wacko too many props for a backdoor top 10.
We're not talking about them in the same breath just yet. So
True.
But Joaquin Niemann's got a lot more to prove.
All right, another 10 minutes has passed, and I still got to go up at 6. Goodbye, everybody. Take care.